Welcome, everyone, to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer. Let's get into it today, Matt. We got lots to cover, lots of exciting hockey since the last time we've been on air. And once again, thanks to Matt for all of the gifts that he's been putting up on our Facebook page. You can follow us on Facebook, B&B Hockey Talk, or subscribe to us on YouTube, where we post all of our shows. So, Matt, let's start off with the NHL. Looks like they're going to experiment with a new puck.
I did see that.
I threw it at you. You weren't expecting that.
Yeah, I missed reading it, but I did see the headline on it. So that'll actually be interesting. I think, isn't it like temperature based or something?
Yes. So what happens is part of the NHL logo and the writing on the puck is dark purple when it's frozen. And as it becomes unthawed, it goes to light purple and then to white. So the referees will know whether the pucks that they're using or not are frozen. So it might improve the gameplay. They're going to experiment with it a little bit. Our fans can look at that and let us know what you think about the new puck. At least this one doesn't glow and streak while it's shot on a TV. 3 stars of the week. Monday today, NHL announced the 3 stars. Why don't you go over them?
All right, yeah. So the 3rd star this week from the Calgary Flames, Johnny Gaudreau. In 4 games, he had 2 goals, 8 points. As that top line for Calgary is just absolutely ripping it up with Monahan and Lindholm. The 2nd star from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Louis Domingue. Talk about a guy that's been filling a huge role in Tampa Bay in net. He's 13-4-0 on the season. But this past week, he had 3 wins, 1.33 goals against average, and a .957 save percentage. And the 1st star, we'll rave about him because we are Canuck fans, Elias Pettersson. In 3 games, had 2 goals, 8 points, including 2 game winners. And yesterday, he had a 5-point game against the St. Louis Blues, which is his 2nd 5-point night of the season. He's only one 5-point game back of Barzal, who did it 3 times last year and won the Calder. And he's up to 30 points, 15 goals on the season in only 26 games. So, the guy's so fun to watch. Just every shift, I think we can just rave about him over and over again. And I think I saw a quote from Doug McLean. He was on Sportsnet 650 saying that he's sick and tired of talking about Pettersson every game. Just saying, I'm just like, I couldn't believe it because all those guys out in Toronto talk about Matthews 24/7 and the Leafs. So if they're already getting sick and tired of Pettersson already, it's it'd be funny to see if he can continue this up.
You mentioned Gaudreau on one of the top lines of hockey. Who is the top line of hockey right now for you?
Oof, man, between that Calgary line and the Rantanen, McKinnon, Landeskog line, it's pretty close. Like Rantanen and McKinnon are the top 2 point scorers in the NHL. Rantanen's at 48 points and McKinnon's at 45, both through 30 games. But Landeskog's at 17 goals and 34 points. And then in Calgary, you got Gaudreau. He has 39 points, Monahan 35, and Lindholm 34. Lindholm has 16 goals this season in 31 games. His career high is 17. So he's going to blow that out of the water this year. And Monahan's at 18, and looks like he'll get a career high in goals this season. Maybe getting to 40 this year with the way they're playing.
Let's rephrase my question a little bit. If this was Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs and the finals, what it would be your top line in the NHL? Who would you take?
That'd be tough. I might have to go with Tampa Bay's top line right now. I know they've been moving their lines around, but I think Tyler Johnson, Braden Point, and Kucherov have been playing together as of late. And Kucherov has 44 points, Braden Point's 21 goals, and Tyler Johnson's been having a really good year as well. I think he has 12 goals and maybe close to 30 points this year as well. So if I had to go with one line, because I think that just clutch-wise, I know Kucherov just by himself, the guy's a beast in the playoffs. and I have to go with that line.
Yeah, this no surprise. My answer, I don't think here. You want to guess?
We'll see. Might be that Boston line.
It is definitely the Boston line. They're experienced. Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand. Probably the best 200-foot game in hockey. And unlike your Tampa Bay line, they have got it done. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I like this year how there's 7 or 8 unbelievable lines that are playing right now in hockey. Scoring is up. Let's move to the East Coast for a little bit. Let's touch on some of the happenings. The Metropolitan Division, Washington leading that division. After that, it's Columbus, and then it's super close with the Islanders, the Rangers, the Penguins, and the Hurricane all there, with the Flyers and the Devils sliding down a bit. Pittsburgh's starting to move up. They're starting to get hot again. Mm-hmm. What do you see from this division, and what are any of the updates on these teams?
Yeah, so Washington's above and beyond everybody else, I think, right now. They're 8-2-0 in their past 10 games. Everybody else is sort of around 500 in their past 10 games. Washington
or less.
Yeah, Washington's going to get TJ Oshie back in the lineup tomorrow night. It looks like he was practicing on the top line with Backstrom and Ovechkin. Ovechkin leading the league in goals with 22 right now. The guy, you just cannot count him out. Like Laine went on his big huge streak, but now he's quieted it off, and then now Ovechkin's retaken that lead. The Columbus Blue Jackets, as we'll see them tomorrow night as the Canucks are playing them, they've been up and down, but Sergei Bobrovsky has really been struggling in that. The last 74 shots he's faced, he's let in 17 goals, which is a 77% save percentage, which is nowhere good where you want your starting to be. And I think his numbers on the season right now, he has a 3.14 goals against average, and his save percentage is dipped below 900 on the season. So as a guy that's going to be a UFA at the end of the year, his stock's going way down. And it'd be interesting to see if a team can sell low in a trade to get him with Columbus if he's not going to get re-signed.
Interesting that you brought up UFAs. RFAs. Next year, there's a lot of good players potentially going to be RFAs. If you're the Vancouver Canucks or any other team for that matter, would you sign one of them for your next 4 first-round draft picks?
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner. I saw an interesting thing, because if you were a rival team and you got Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, if you offer sheet one of them, especially like if you do a high-term short-year deal, I saw, because if you do a 4-year deal for Austin Matthews at $16 million a year, I think I saw this, that means is that you push Toronto right up to the cap, and then if Marner's going to want 10+ million, well, then they're going to be in deep trouble trying to keep some of these guys, and they'd either have to make some trades, maybe a Nylander trade or somebody else.
Nylander is not going anywhere, according to GM.
Yeah.
Not while he's still GM.
No. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there are any offer sheets, but I don't think anything will come to it. But the way Marner is playing, I think his cap hit will be the most interesting to watch at the end of the year. He has 40 points this year so far, and I believe he leads the league in assists, or is tied with Blake Wheeler at the top there. But yeah, if he gets around that $10 million mark, it's going to be interesting to see how Toronto works the cap this coming off season.
If I was Arizona, I think I can see them potentially doing an offer sheet for Austin Matthews. From a Canucks perspective, I don't like the idea, but if they were to do it and they were to get a guy like Braden Point or Austin Matthews, I don't think I would complain. So, over to the Atlantic Division, Tampa Bay has been on an absolute tear. They lead the NHL by quite a bit now. 47 points, 9-1 in their last 10. They're just on an absolute tear. Toronto, being the next best team in the league, is still sitting back I believe they're at 41 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Buffalo, who had just won 10 in a row, has now lost 5 in a row and has fallen back to those teams. But with those 3 teams, Boston and Montreal doing what they're doing, we have 5 potential playoff teams in the Atlantic Division compared to the opposite way around with the Metropolitan like it usually is. What do you like out of the Atlantic Division right now with all these teams playing the way they're playing?
Yeah, right now the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're so fun to watch. And this is a team without Andre Vasilevsky right now. So, and I saw that he was back on the ice taking some shots. But if you look at Vasilevsky, where the first half of the season where he was just an absolute monster, and even though he had great numbers at the end of the season, the second half of the season, his numbers tailed off a lot. So I think this injury can help him out a lot, just rest-wise. And with the way Domingue's been able to play, it shows that he can play a lot more and give Vasilevsky some rest as the season goes along. The Leafs have lost 2 straight since signing Nylander to that contract. But I think they're due for a win coming up here. Buffalo, we'll see how things go. Carter Hutton's dealing with an upper body injury right now, so Linus Ullmark is the starter there as of late. But yeah, I think that this is where we were wondering, which way is Buffalo going to go? Are they going to be able to dig their way out of this or keep things going? Boston's starting to figure things out. That big win against Toronto on Saturday night, that was a heck of a game right there. And Zach Hyman got the 2-game suspension for his late hit on Charlie McAvoy. And Boston is very sensitive to McAvoy right now because he just came back from a concussion. He missed around 20 games. With that, so I figured it was going to be 2 games. I actually posted that on our Facebook page before when I heard the hearing. It was probably going to be 2 games because Hyman has no history at all. And then if you go to Montreal, they've won 3 straight games and they're 1 point behind Boston. And Carey Price has been playing really well of late. I think I watched that game against Chicago, and man, the guy, he wasn't giving out any rebounds at all. It's just everything was sticking to him, and I saw he gave that young kid his stick after the game as well, which was pretty cool to see. But yeah, the Atlantic is going to be interesting to see who gets that third spot, because it's going to be Tampa Bay and Toronto as the top 2 teams. And it'll be interesting to see which team gets that third spot. But yeah, right now all top 3 teams in the Atlantic though could be first place in the Metropolitan. Right now, which makes me. That's why I hate how they do the standings right now. I'd rather have a 1 to 8 in each conference than have the way it is. Just because you're gonna have good teams get eliminated earlier in the playoffs instead of making it to the conference finals.
I'm still, of course, pushing for the 1 through 16 NHL wide. I think that would be fun to watch, and it would actually give the first seed an actual advantage for a change. So off to the Central Division, Nashville's run into a massive injury bug. A lot of their top players out of the lineup: PK Subban, Philippe Forsberg. I mean, that list just goes on and on and on and on. They've now been caught by the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets, more or less, in that division. How important is it for Nashville to get healthy again?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is like all their top guys are out long term. Like you look at Forsberg, 4 to 6 weeks. Arvidsson was 4 to 6 weeks. Subban, there hasn't really been much of an update either than that he got placed on IR, and Kyle Turris out as well. But yeah, it's showing like they got the depth on the back end, and Rene's been playing well. But offensively, a lot of the way that their team's structured is 4 balanced lines. They don't have like the extra superstar like Forsberg is their top forward, but most of their forwards are like they're good like second line players at most, like average between like that 60-70 point mark at most at the top end. But yeah, they just have to get through this and then hope once when guys get back, then they can start going on that hot streak. But yeah, Colorado and that top line just keeps on rolling, and I think they'll be in first place in the division sooner rather than later. And Winnipeg is slowly but surely started to gain healthy. I think Bufflin, who was out with a concussion, Kulikov and Morrissey, who had missed the past few games as well, are all back in the lineup on their back end. And that top line with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler continue to rip it up. I think Wheeler scoring a nice shorthanded breakaway goal yesterday against the Flyers as they ran over them 7-1 in that game. Talk about a mess there in Philadelphia. It's rough going there. And then I think the team to watch out for, the Dallas Stars. So they've just been hanging around. They're at 35 points, just a few points back of Winnipeg. Ben Bishop has quietly been having a great year this year. Just give me a second here. He's gone 10-6-1 this year, but he has a .925 save percentage, 2 shutouts, and a 2.28 goals against average. And getting Radloff back from injury a while back there has really helped balance out their lines. And Miro Heiskanen, I think this guy is still going to be finishing the top 3 for the Calder voting this year, along with Rasmus Dahlin and Elias Pettersson. I think he's up to 5 goals and 15 points this year. I keep an eye on those guys. If Nashville slips and if Dallas can get a few more wins, maybe they could surpass them in the next little bit while Nashville's dealing with all their injuries.
So after the question about Nashville, we will call that segment Matt's Rant.
Yeah.
Let's talk about St. Louis Blues for a minute. They're in 6th place there. Chicago and LA, the only 2 teams worse than them. We saw firsthand yesterday how bad they're playing. I mean, they've got a lot of injuries still as well, but the Vancouver Canucks came in there and just destroyed them 6-1. And this morning, 2 teammates, Bartuzzo and Sanford, decided to have a nice big scrap that made social media. They've gone through a coaching change already. They fired Yo. They've got Berube in there as an interim. What's going on with this team, and do you see them turning the corner at all?
Yeah, I think it's just going to continue to go downhill from here. Their goaltending, even though Jake Allen's actually been playing, well, before last night, he's been playing a lot better of late. They put Chad Johnson on waivers today. But yeah, I think the big thing is their GM, Armstrong. I think he's going to start to feel the heat because he made a lot of moves this offseason, bringing in a lot of veteran players in O'Reilly, Bozak, Perron, Maroon, just to name a few. And he got rid of some younger guys in Tage Thompson, Sabaka, and Berglund. But some of those guys were a little bit more veteran, but still on the younger side from the guys that they brought in. I think this guy is going to start to feel the heat sooner rather than later, and he could be the next general manager on the outs in the NHL. Even though he is a really good GM over the past few years, but if you're going all in, and if you even go from last year where they traded Paul Stastny when they were right in the middle of a playoff race and they missed out by 1 point. He's starting to make some really questionable moves here, and he went all in on the offseason here, but nothing's gone right so far.
Let's move to the Pacific Division. Anaheim and Vegas 8-2 in their last 10. Calgary and Edmonton 7-2-1 in their last 10. This division's heating up. Calgary's been absolutely. You already talked about their top line. They've been on a bit of a tear. Anaheim's getting it done by committee. With Giordano suspended for 2 games, what do you like about the Flames and the Ducks here?
Yeah, the Ducks. So, man, am I eating my words for saying John Gibson isn't a top 10 goalie in the NHL this year? I think he's been the number one.
In my top 10.
Yeah, he was in your top 10. I think he was my either 11 or 12, I think, on my list, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that guy's been an absolute beast because Anaheim's goal differential is still -13 right now, but they're in 2nd place in the Pacific Division. Go figure there. But yeah, they've had so many injuries. Like we talked about the Canucks and how many injuries they've had. Anaheim, it's been even worse. I think they've used 30+ players so far this year. But yeah, guys like Pontus Aberg, who they picked up off waivers, has 10 goals this year. Ryan Getzlaf has actually had a pretty good solid year, even dealing with a couple injuries. But when he's been in, he's been their go-to guy up front. And on their back end, talk about a team that just continues to bring up defensemen every year with their injuries. But they got guys like Andy Walensky, Josh Marua coming up and playing well. Jacob Larson, their first-round pick from a few years ago. But yeah, it doesn't matter with their injuries. They've just continued to get it done. And in Calgary, their top two lines, especially that number one line's really been getting it done. But their defense on paper was probably, like next to Nashville, probably the best in the NHL. And Giordano, Brody, Hamonic, and I'm forgetting the other top four guy right now off the top of my head. But
Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, there we go. Noah Hannafin. And guys like Rasmus Anderson, who's come up and started to outplay Michael Stone before he went on injured reserve. He ended up being a healthy scratch in favor of Rasmus Anderson. So they're going young. And the big thing here is the goaltending. Mike Smith's finally started to figure out his game. And David Riddick have been a really good 1-2 punch in the NHL. And right now they have the most points in the Western Conference, believe it or not. But yeah, their game yesterday against Edmonton was a really good game, even though it was only 1-0. The Oilers are slowly but surely turning things around, going 7-2-1 under Hitchcock over their last 10 games. And I think with the way San Jose's been playing of late, they could drop down the standings, and you could see the two Canadian teams in Alberta in the top three in the Pacific Division.
Vegas also 8-2, starting to turn the corner after their slow start. What do you see from them? I mean, they still have Stastny out with an injury, but they're just getting more consistent play from their top guys, or was it a Alex Tuck injury that when he came back really kind of infused their lineup?
Yeah, I think just everybody just got off to a really slow start. Like their top line, the Marchessault, Smith, and Carlson went off slow. Pacioretty he had a terrible start to the season. And then they had guys with injury with Cody Eakin, Paul Stastny, and Alex Tuck who are out with injury. But Tuck's been a point-a-game player since coming back. I think Paul Stastny is supposed to return this week. I know he's on their 4-game road trip. He's been out 2 months with a lower body injury. But yeah, that top line has been really getting it done. And Marc-Andre Fleury's been a workhorse, and he's played the most games out of all goalies in the NHL, playing 28 games and winning 17 of them with 5 shutouts this year. He's their backbone. Their defense, I'm still they got it done last year, but I'll be a little bit suspect to see how they do as they go along. But getting Nate Schmidt back from suspension, that was another big plus for them there. But yeah, I think we both had them finishing in the top 3 in the Pacific this year. But yeah, we'll see, because a lot of surprising teams in Edmonton and Calgary, who we thought were going to be right around that wild card spot, I've really been making a good surge of late.
And our Vancouver Canucks winning 2 games in a row now against some pretty good competition. I mean, they beat the Nashville Predators at home on Friday, I believe it was. Yeah, and then they lost to then they beat St. Louis 6-1 last night. Does it matter for them just getting some players back, or is Pettersson and Besser? To me, they look great yesterday, but they're not. I don't think they're actually carrying this team. And what did you think of Josh Leivo playing on that top line?
Yeah, I think Leivo's fit in pretty nicely on that line, but Bo Horvat, man, I think that we can't rave about this guy enough. The guy is just a workhorse. The way that he's been playing, and getting Brock Besser back, and since that groin injury's healed up, he's starting to look back from the way he's played last year, which is huge. And being able to play with a top guy like Pettersson, who can just get him the puck no matter what. And when Besser has his shot going, man, that guy is shot. He can pick those corners like no tomorrow. But yeah, Bo Horvat, I think he's a point-a-game guy just about this year, up to 14 goals, averaging around like 23, 24 minutes a night. It doesn't matter who he's playing against. He's outplaying the opposition, and he's putting the puck in the net, which you can't ask more of. But yeah, it's like we'll know they'll have their ups and downs still this year. But it's good to see the big 3 in Pettersson, Besser, and Horvat going right now.
And of course, we're going to be debuting a new segment this Friday where it'll be B&B Canucks Hockey Talk on Fridays. Mondays, of course, are B&B Hockey Talk around the NHL, and as is our Wednesday, which is more of an update show. Final thoughts and words before we close out today's show.
Yeah, so only 4 games going on tonight in the NHL. I'll have all the highlights up, and that fight between Bortuzzo and Sanford at their practice today. I'll have that up. Thanks for all you guys following us on Facebook and on YouTube. We really appreciate it. We're still growing and figuring things out. And yeah, make sure, as Aaron said, check out on Friday our Canucks talk. We are Canuck fans. We go around the NHL and talk, but we decided that we wanted to do just a Canuck show on Friday and see how that goes for starters.
Fantastic. Remember to like and hit the like button and share, comment on our Facebook page. Feel free to subscribe and comment on our YouTube page. And like Matt said, we love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for following us. And we will see you guys all on Wednesday.